Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session here with us at Mathematics Resource Center. I am happy to have you, and today we're looking at adding and subtracting fraction. All right, without any delay, let's get into it. So, the very first thing when you're adding and subtracting fraction that you need to look out for is the denominators. Are they the same? Are they different? So, you're looking for that. If they're the same, then you can just go ahead and add the numerators if they are the same. But if they're different, in this case, which they are, then you cannot do that. You can't just add the numerators, right? If the denominators, if the denominators are different, then you need to find your LCM. Alright? How do we go about finding the LCM? Or instead of saying LCM, persons tend to say we're going to make equivalent fractions. So let's look at it. If I'm finding the LCM of 8 and 4, I'm going to go ahead and write the multiples of 4. So I have 4, and I keep adding 4 each time. So my next number is going to be 8. Keep adding 4 each time. So my next number is going to be 12. My next number is going to be 60. My next number is 20, 24, 28. You get it? I know you do. Alright, so let's go to 8. What about 8? What are my LCM? What are the multiples of 8? So 8 plus 8, so that's going to give me 16 plus 8, so that's going to give me 24, and then plus another 8, that will give me 32. All right, so I keep adding 8 each time, so that's how I find my multiples. So that's the first thing that we do, is to find the multiples. The next thing that we're going to do now is to find the common ones. So look here, 8 is common, right? I also look here, 16 is common, right? So I see those are common, and 24 is common as well. And the last thing that I do is to find the lowest one. And when I look at it, 8 is the lowest. Good? So that means my lowest common multiple is 8. Now that I've done that, let's just clear that quickly. Quickly. Alright, so now that we've done that, we've found our lowest common multiple now. Now we're going to come over here and we're going to make sure that we rewrite our fractions, right? So the fractions that we have here, we're going to rewrite the fractions. If their denominator is not 8, we're going to rewrite it so that their denominator is 8. When we look at the first fraction here, we look at the first fraction, 3/8, right? We realize that the denominator is already 8. So we're not going to change that fraction. We're just going to write it as 3/8. When we look at the second fraction now, we realize that the denominator is 4. So my new denominator is going to be 8, right? Now I'm saying to myself, what did I do to 4 in order to get 8? For me to get 8 here, I multiply 4 by 2. So if I multiply 4 by 2 to get 8, then I'm going to do the same thing, which is to multiply 7 by 2 to get my new numerator, which is 14. Now I have both my denominators the same. And as I said at the start, as long as the denominators are the same, what can we do? We can add the numerators. So my denominator is the same, 8. So I can go ahead and add 3 plus 14. And that gives me 17. So I have my new answer to be 17 divided by 8. Was that fun? It was, I know. Alright, so let's get to number 2 now. So by now you should know how to find your LCM. Alright, if you don't, let's do 5 times. So we're going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Alright, so that's your 5 times. So you can write those numbers down. And then let's do 9 times. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54. So that's 9 times, alright? And if you want, go ahead and write those down if you're not going to remember them, alright? So when we look at it now, we realize that our denominators are different. And because they are different, and only because they are different, while we're finding the LCM. If they were the same, we wouldn't need to find any LCM. But because they're different, we need to find our LCM. So given that they're the same, we're going to go ahead and find our LCM. The LCM of 5 and 9 is 45. And when you do your multiples, you see that popping up. Alright, good. Now that we know that the LCM of 9 and 5 is 45, we're going to look at our first fraction here. 6 and 5. And we're checking to see if the denominator number at the bottom here is already 45. No, it's not. So we're going to make that new denominator 45. Given that my new denominator is 45, right? I need to figure out what did I do to this 5 to get it to 45. Ooh, oh, she multiplied it by 9. Yes. So I multiplied that 5 by 9 to get 45. So I'm going to do the very same thing to the numerator, which is to multiply it by 9. Alright, and 6 times 9 is 54. Alright, so now I have 54 minus, so I look at the next fraction now, 7 over 9. My new denominator is going to be 45, as said. Okay. So given that I multiplied it by 5, the 9 by 5 to get 45, I'm going to go ahead and multiply the 7 by 5, and that is going to give me 35. Now I have 54 divided by 45 minus 35 divided by 45, or you would say 54 over 45 minus 35 over 45. Now I can go ahead, my denominators are the same, so I can go ahead and subtract. So it's 54 minus 35. So now I'm going to take 35 from 54, which leaves me with 19 divided by 45. And that's my answer. How did you find that fun? I know you did. Alright, so let's continue. We're going to go to another question. It's a bit of a worded question. So let's just read this question and see how we can apply the skills that we just learned to a real life question. This week, Harry spent half of his pocket money on a ticket for a football match. He also spent 1/8 of his pocket money on a scarf at the match. What fraction of his pocket money has Harry spent? What fraction of his pocket money does Harry have left? So we're gonna look at that now. So let's look at what happened with Harry first. He spent half of his pocket money for the football ticket, right? And then he spent 1/8 for a scarf at the match. So tickets and scarf at the match. Good. So first and foremost, let's find out how much he spent in total so far. So given that we want to find out the fraction that he spent, we're trying to find a total. And the word total tells us that we're going to add. You understand? So we're going to go ahead and add the first fraction. So that's a half plus 1/8. Alright, so go ahead and we add the first fraction. Now let's look at the denominators. One is 2 and the other is 8. Okay, what do I do in this situation? The denominators are different. What do you do when the denominators are different? Make them the same. Before you can add or subtract, we need to make them the same. So we're going to go ahead and make them the same. So that means that we need to find our LCM. So looking at 2 and 8, what are the multiples of 2? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Okay? What are the multiples of 8? 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Good. Now, let's look at all those multiples. Let's look for the ones that are common. So far, in what I've said so far, you have heard 8 being common. You have also heard 16 being common, and 24 and 32. Alright, so all of those common. Now let's look for the one that is the lowest. The lowest would be 8. So that means our LCM is 8. Alright, so given that our LCM is 8, we're going to change our denominators to make sure that their LCM is 8 if they are not 8 already. When we look at the first fraction, we see that the denominator is 2. So now I'm thinking, what did I multiply 2 by to get 8? Oh, 4. I multiplied 2 by 4 to get 8. So that means that if I multiply 2 by 4 to get 8, I'm going to do the same thing to the numerator, which is to multiply by 4. 4 times 1 is 4. Alright? And then I'm going to look at the denominator for the next fraction. It's already 8, so I don't need to change that fraction at all. Now that my denominators are the same, I can go ahead and just add 4 plus 1, the numerators, and that gives me 5 divided by 8. Well done. We have found the first answer. So our first answer is 5/8. Now, the second question says, what fraction of his pocket money does Harry have left? So if Harry spent 5/8, if you had 8 pieces, let's see if I could put 8 in this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, pretend that this is equally shared. You had 8 pieces and you have spent 5 of it already. So you've spent 5 of it already. How much pieces left? So you've spent 5. How much pieces left? 1, 2, 3. So that means Harry has 3/8 of his money left. Another way that you could look at it is that in total he had 8 out of 8 pieces and he spent 5 out of 8 pieces. Let's subtract. So denominators are the same, so we can just write our denominator down and we can say 8 minus 5, which gives me 3 divided by 8. So whichever method you use, you'd get the same answer. Now, how was this lesson for you? It was fun, right? I know it was. So this brings us to the end of this lesson. We'll see you again at another time in another lesson. Until then, bye-bye. So there goes it. And that brings us to the end of another video. I hope this one was informative. I hope you learned about mixed operation with fraction. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, bye-bye.